Ever sat down to meditate, hoping for, that elusive sense of peace, only to find your mind is just buzzing, a total marketplace of thoughts? Or maybe you've been really diligent, focusing on your breath or a mantra, but still wondered, is there something more, something deeper? Well, today for you, our curious listener, we're taking a deep dive into some really fascinating insights. They come from an ancient tradition, but we're looking at them through a text called Meditation Without an Object. Balance of mind. And this isn't just your standard meditation. We're talking about a profound Mahamudra approach, sometimes called the Great Seal. It's a system from Tibetan Buddhism that's all about directly experiencing the mind's true nature, beyond all the concepts.
Exactly. And our mission today really is to unpack how you can actually move beyond needing those external anchors in meditation. Plus, we'll get into the two core methods Mahamudra uses for dealing with those really common internal obstacles, that sluggish feeling, and then the opposite, mental agitation. You'll hopefully discover a path to genuine mental clarity, real stability, based on this ancient wisdom that honestly still feels incredibly relevant today. It's kind of like a shortcut to inner balance.
Okay, so the idea of meditating without anything specific to focus on, that feels almost paradoxical, doesn't it? We're just so used to needing a target for our attention. How does someone even start with such a radical shift?
Yeah, it is a big shift. What's really interesting here is the progression, the evolution the texts describe. They explain that once you've got some solid experience with object-based meditation and you've achieved a certain amount of mental stability, well, the need for that external object just kind of fades. The mind's stability becomes self-sufficient, doesn't need those external crutches anymore. You still keep the traditional Vairocana posture, that classic 7-point meditation stance. It helps align body and mind. But the focus isn't on a thing, not even the breath. The mind is simply allowed to rest in its natural state, relying only on itself. Think of it like shifting from actively steering a boat to just letting it glide with the current, totally aware, but without needing to grab onto anything.
That sounds incredibly freeing, but also quite challenging, because the instructions from these sources are pretty direct, aren't they? Stop reflecting on the past, cast aside all dreams of the future, even don't give special significance to what's happening right now, including thoughts and emotions. How do these texts suggest we actually do that? It seems so counterintuitive to how we normally try to manage our thoughts.
It really does. But the core idea is non-interference. As the Tantra of Secret Assembly puts it quite clearly, it is necessary to allow the mind to remain in a state without thoughts. And Tiraha's Songs of Realization echo this beautifully. Do not give much importance to thinking itself and the content of thoughts. Whatever arises in the mind, let it remain as is. Kwano. The goal state is described as like a summer sky free from clouds of conceptual thinking. It's about letting the mind settle naturally, not wrestling it into submission.
A summer sky. That's a powerful image. And they even offer this, compelling promise. It's from the Tantra of the Wheel of Time, it says. If one spends a day in a meditative state, not engaging in complicated thinking and disturbing emotional states, by evening there will be signs that the mind has gone beyond the ordinary state. That's quite a claim.
It is bold, yes.
And Serha adds, if the mind is left in the state of non-distraction, one will naturally be freed from samsara, that cycle of suffering and rebirth without conscious effort. So this meditation, without characteristics, as they call it, it's built up through short, frequent sessions with breaks. That sounds much more doable.
Absolutely. That emphasis on short, frequent sessions is really key. It's about gradually getting the mind used to its natural, unconditioned state. It's not about forcing it for hours. This meditation without characteristics offers a way out of the struggle, letting the mind naturally find its own inherent clarity.
Okay, now, this next part really jumped out at me. The sources talk about this strikingly simplified but apparently really potent way the Mahamudra tradition handles the obstacles that, derail our meditation. Instead of this long list of problems, it just boils everything down to two main categories. That's a huge simplification compared to some other approaches, right?
It is, and it raises a good question. How can something so complex internally be simplified so effectively? You see, other traditions, like the Sutra tradition, might list many obstacles: excitement, regret, drowsiness, attachment, aversion, often with specific antidotes for each one. But Mahamudra condenses all of these into just two fundamentals: mental languor, or sluggishness, and mental excitement, or agitation. The insight here is that if you skillfully observe and address these two main disturbances, all the other distractions just sort of fall away. The method involves observing your mind processes with mindfulness and then applying either an enhancement or a relaxation technique, depending on what's needed. It gets right to the root.
Okay, let's tackle languor first. What exactly is it? And how does Mahamudra help us tell it apart from genuine calm? Because honestly, that line can feel blurry sometimes.
That's a very common experience. Languor, or mental sluggishness, it creeps in when your mindfulness weakens a bit. Your mind might feel sort of vaguely on the meditation object or just generally present, but it loses its sharpness, its clarity, or concentration. And the text really stressed that the subtler forms are the tricky ones. They can easily feel like a calm, peaceful state,
Right.
but actually they result in vagueness, a kind of dullness, not that true, vibrant peace. It's that fuzzy, almost half-asleep feeling.
Yeah, like you're zoning out rather than tuning in.
Exactly. You think you're meditating, but the mind's just drifting. And this lack of clarity isn't just fuzziness. It can even show up as a kind of subtle mental depression, affecting your ability to think clearly or remember things. It's a loss of mental sharpness.
So, if we spot that dullness setting in, how do we, well, perk up the mind? The enhancement method sounds like it's meant to be a wake-up call, but hopefully without jolting us into excitement.
Precisely. It's about gently invigorating the mind. Physically, the advice is often to open your eyes a bit wider, maybe gaze gently into the space in front of you. Mentally, it's about actively cultivating self-confidence, a sense of cheerfulness, and mental openness or spaciousness. The Sutra of Transcendent Wisdom, for instance, advises, if depression arises, overcome it by feeling the spaciousness of the mind. And another text, Essence of the Middle Way, says, when depression arises, meditate on cheerfulness.
Meditate on cheerfulness. Interesting.
The goal is simply to restore clarity, to bring the mind back to a state that's calm, yes, but also open and transparent. And again, short, repeated sessions where you apply this gentle effort help cultivate these qualities over time.
Okay, so that handles the sluggish mind. But what about the other end of the spectrum, the restless, agitated, jumping bean mind that so many of us experience? What's Mahamudra's approach there?
Right, the excitement. And in Mahamudra, excitement is actually a much broader category than just, say, getting hooked by an attractive thought or object. It covers basically any disturbing emotional state. So disappointment, doubt, self-doubt, anger, even harmful intentions or aversion, they all fall under this umbrella of excitement or agitation.
Ah, okay. So it's any strong pull away from calm.
Exactly. Anything that disturbs the mind's natural peace. And the antidote here is the relaxation method. But it's not about forcefully squashing thoughts. It's much more subtle.
So how do you handle those distracting thoughts without either getting swept away by them or trying to suppress them? That sounds like a really delicate balance.
It requires a light touch. Instead of fighting the thought or dwelling on whatever is causing the agitation, you simply relax the mind. The Sutra of Transcendent Wisdom again instructs, when the mind becomes agitated, relax and try to bring it to a state of peace. Physically, this might involve gently directing your gaze downwards. Mentally, the key is to avoid overthinking it. Don't get anxious about being agitated or overly confident when it passes. You just let the mind be relaxed and light, unburdened. It's a kind of letting go, not a struggle.
So really just letting things be without adding judgment, observing like that sentinel idea you mentioned?
Precisely that. The absolute core of Mahamudra relaxation is to neither accept nor reject anything that pops up in the mind. You let thoughts appear and dissolve naturally, without any effort on your part to hold on to them or push them away. Mindfulness acts like that sentinel just watching without getting entangled. And interestingly, if a really clear, open light state arises, the advice is actually to take a short break, to prevent clinging, to avoid getting attached to that pleasant feeling. Then you just resume with another short session. It's this quality of undisturbed awareness that makes the relaxation method so powerful. Everything that arises, good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant, can be used to establish peace.
There are some great analogies for this, aren't there?
Yes, wonderful ones. Sarah compares the mind to a dog that, once you untie it, realizes it doesn't actually need to run off anywhere.
Ah, I like that.
And Maitripa says a yogin leaves the distracting thought as is, like unprocessed cotton. Just lets it be soft and unformed, and that frees the mind. They really help visualize the practice.
But I can imagine some people might worry, maybe critics of this approach, that just relaxing like this could actually weaken mindfulness, that you might drift off into dullness or just aimless wandering. How does Mahamudra counter that?
That's a really critical point, and the tradition addresses it head on. It strongly refutes the idea that true relaxation weakens mindfulness. In fact, it argues the opposite, that genuine relaxation strengthens it. Lope has a great line. What is tense relaxes if the tension itself is removed.
Ah, so the effort is the tension.
Exactly. Trying too hard to suppress thoughts creates tension. Sang adds that when we truly relax the mind, it naturally becomes clear and free from complicated thinking.
Hmm.
This can lead to experiencing what's called dharmakaya, the truth body, basically, the mind's ultimate unconditioned nature, often described as being like a vast cloudless sky, limitless. So if someone finds their mindfulness is weakening when they try to relax, Mahamudra would say that's an improper application of the technique, maybe too lax, not an inherent flaw in the relaxation method itself. The aim is always a relaxed awareness, not just spacing out.
Okay, that makes sense. So putting it all together, these techniques moving beyond objects, enhancing clarity when dull, relaxing agitation when restless, they're all really pointing towards achieving shamatha, right? That state of calm abiding, a deep, stable, meditative concentration marked by both that clarity and that stability. It seems like these methods are the tools to build that state.
Yes, exactly. Shamatha is the goal here, and it rests on those two pillars. Clarity, which is supported by sustained mindfulness and awareness, and stability, which comes from calming down all that conceptual noise that usually makes our mind so unstable. A mind caught up in constant thinking and analyzing just can't be truly stable or fully mindful. It's like trying to see your reflection clearly in choppy water.
Which brings us neatly to mindfulness and vigilance. They sound similar, but are they the same thing in this context or slightly different tools? It feels like they must work very closely together.
They absolutely work hand in hand. Think of it this way. Mindfulness is the mental factor that keeps the mind on its chosen focus, or, in objectless meditation, keeps it resting in its natural state without drifting away. Vigilance, on the other hand, is the function that recognizes when distraction has already happened. It notices, oh, I've drifted, and it identifies the cause. Was it languor creeping in, or was it some kind of excitement or agitation pulling me away?
Okay, so mindfulness holds. Vigilance notices the slip.
Right. And while some Buddhist traditions might really emphasize their distinct roles, the Mahamudra tradition tends to view them as deeply integrated, almost two sides of the same coin. There's a line from the introduction to the Bodhisattva's way of life that says, "Guard the mind with mindfulness, and this will automatically lead to the arising of vigilance." So in this view, vigilance is almost like a perfected, super-aware form of mindfulness. It's that gentle internal ping that says, hey, mind's wandered, and instantly knows how it wandered dullness or distraction.
But here's a potential paradox, maybe. If the ultimate goal is a kind of thoughtless state, or at least freedom from complicated thinking, doesn't using these subtle mental processes, vigilance checking for languor or excitement, doesn't that contradict the goal? It sounds like we're still thinking, just very subtly.
That is a very, very insightful question. And it's something the texts anticipate and clarify, precisely because it can sound like a contradiction. They explain that these subtle mental activities, the ones integrated into vigilance, are not the same as the complicated conceptual processes that clutter and distract the mind. They're different in quality. Instead, this subtle checking is actually seen as essential for developing penetrating insight, or vipassana. Kamalashila, in his Stages of Meditation, talks about this continuous observation of the mind's focus checking for languor or excitement as a crucial part of the path. But he stresses it's a relaxed, non-clinging observation. It's not getting caught up in analyzing the distraction, just a subtle, mindful awareness that simply notes what's happening without entanglement. It's actually part of the journey towards deeper seeing, not an obstacle to it.
Okay, so it's like a very light background process that supports the main aim rather than hijacking it.
Exactly. It's skillful means. So this delicate balance, between effort and relaxation, between holding steady with mindfulness and noticing slips with vigilance, that really is the key to sustained concentration. It's not rigid, it's dynamic and adaptive, precisely. And this equilibrium, this balance point, is what leads to samadhi, true meditative concentration. Asanga, in the Stages of Shravakas, describes samadhi beautifully as a joyful and comfortable state of mind. Its stability is effortlessly maintained by mindfulness and vigilance, which naturally neutralize any obstacles that arise. So the ultimate lesson really is about taking this theoretical understanding and transforming it into your own direct personal experience through consistent mindful practice. You have to actually do it, live it.
Wow, what a journey we've taken today exploring this Mahamudra approach.
Yeah.
From learning to let the mind just dwell in its natural objectless state to mastering those two core antidotes for when things get sluggish or agitated. We've really uncovered a path towards, well, profound clarity and stability. It's definitely a different angle on calming the mind. Less about battle, more about ease. Absolutely. We've seen that genuine meditation, in this view, isn't about this constant, forceful fight against thoughts. It's much more about
cultivating a state of open, non-distracted awareness where thoughts are simply allowed to arise and pass away naturally like clouds in the sky. It's about integrating mindfulness and vigilance so smoothly that even subtle mental activity, as long as it's non-clinging, actually serves the path to deeper insight of Vipassana. It offers a freedom from the conditioning that so often binds us.
So for you, our curious listener, maybe here's a final thought to carry forward from our deep dive today. If, as these ancient texts powerfully suggest, the mind itself in its natural state is the only true anchor it ultimately needs, what might you discover about the boundless nature of your own awareness if you simply allowed it to be, just for moments at first, without condition or attachment? Something to ponder as you go about your day.